Hello, my name is Len Winfield, and these 5-minute sermons are designed to whet the appetite for further study or to be the basis for a longer sermon. Today I'm talking from 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 11 and 2 Corinthians 13, also verse 11, on how we are to live or to relate with one another in the church. We just do the reading from 1 Thessalonians 5:11 first of all. Paul writes, "Therefore, encourage one another and build one another up." And in his letter to the Corinthians he says, "Aim for restoration, comfort one another, agree with one another, live in peace, and the God of love and peace will be with you." So, we learn especially in these verses that Paul's pastoral heart for the people, not only in the churches here in Thessalonica and in Corinth, but also in churches everywhere, where he urges the people to behave towards each other in loving ways, especially in encouraging one another and building each other up, and in ways that bring comfort to one another. It's all about encouragement, edification and comfort. These are the three prime behavioural principles, we might say, that we are to adopt in church when we meet together, and indeed, in fact, in any contact we have with all peoples of all faiths and persuasions wherever. We can understand why Paul would urge his congregation to behave in this way. After all, isn't this exactly how each one of us would want to be treated throughout life? If we were to look at the opposites of each of those, we would discover realities far removed from what we might term ideal life. Realities which make up for an impoverished life, but which tragically reflect and describe so much of community life today, both within and outside the church. And instead of personal encouragement, we often find discouragement, words and actions bringing opposition, disapproval and despair. Instead of personal edification, we often find disenchantment and disillusionment, and the breaking down of confidence and self-esteem. And instead of personal comfort, we would find coldness, antagonism and distress. We only need to ask ourselves, how would we wish to be treated? Think under what conditions do our lives and communities best thrive in? Well, of course, the answers are self-evident. But why then do we so often experience, both in church and in life outside of church, discouragement, disillusionment and distress? The sad fact is, what Paul is urging represents a level of relationship far removed from the inherent nature of sinful man, where the personal ego rules and reigns. What Paul is teaching, however, is not a new way of life, but he's reminding the people, and us of course, of a better way of relating to one another, which has been powerfully demonstrated by Jesus during his time on earth, and contained within almost every page of the Bible. The new teaching, so-called, represents a way where the personal ego is deferred in favour of others, where we put our needs as subordinate to the needs of others. This is the selfless style that Jesus showed us, and which is the epitome of the Christian walk. Easily read about when we look into the Bible, but so difficult to put into constant practice. But we must aspire to it, and Paul's words of wisdom urging us into a better way of life are to be taken on board and inwardly digested, so that the outcome, on the outside, our actions are transformed. Ultimately, of course, this is all about being changed into the likeness of Jesus, the principal activity and goal of the Christian life. And when we embrace that notion, all our lives will be enriched as we daily encourage, edify and comfort each other as a matter of course. But no one said being a Christian was going to be easy, but surely these things must be worth the effort. Starting with Jesus, of course, we have many great examples throughout history to follow and to emulate to help us and to aspire us on the way. For don't we need encouragement in this? Well, I hope this has been helpful, and I look forward to our next 5-minute sermon. Until then, God bless, and the Lord be with you. Goodbye.